Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you might be. I am Nicole BC, and you know everything. This is one that, it just kind of had to be done. So sorry, not sorry. I love change. Case in point, I am moving. I probably will have already have moved by the time you are watching this. I love it. I love moving. I love packing. I love going through things. I love getting rid of things. I love reorganizing. I think it's fucking great. And I understand it to be one of the most stressful experiences for most humans. People hate it. The second I figure out it's happening, I immediately start packing. I chip away at it. I moved my parents out of their home. They'd only lived there for 15, 20 years or something like that. I think it's great because I like change. I love change. It's been a lot of change recently. I think on one of the loops, I was like, I'm good on the change for a minute. I'm kind of joking because it ain't gonna stop, nor is it going to get any lesser than. So yeah, I wanted to talk about why people are feeling so abandoned in this moment, that the revolution will not be televised. I think it's just going to be streamed. But what is it about change that is so disruptive? Because at the end of the day, my friend, my creative being, my artist, that is change. Creative process is change. And so I'm assuming if you're watching this, you actually kind of love it. And there's a way that you make it work for you that is not only so rewarding, it's like the thing that makes you tick. It's your raison d'etre. It's the reason you get out of bed every morning. It's your alchemical process. It's your magic. So let's reframe the core narrative around the tension between our deeply human resistance to change and the fact that creative evolution is not only the path forward, it is the way. But we crave growth. We demand change. So let's stop resisting the very thing that makes it possible. So another reason that I was thinking about this, amongst many other things, I forget which artist it was. God, oh my God, do not hate me when I say this, but Miley Cyrus's new song just came out. It was in my YouTube feed. I wasn't looking for it, I promise. Anywho, we always hate on an artist when they go in a different direction, right? And I remembered when Radiohead dropped Kid A, people lost their fucking minds. Those artists pretty much pissed everybody off over and over and over again. People didn't lose their minds in a good way. They wanted OK Computer 2.0, and they got something colder, air quotes, weirder, dramatic, air quotes. They got something electronic and glitchy, and fans called it a betrayal, air quotes. Critics called it a collapse. Fast forward a few years, or goddamn, decades. Ooh. Kid A is now one of the most celebrated albums of all time. It changed music, it changed culture, it changed me. Oh God, I can tell you about my Kid A moment, but I would probably start crying. In the moment, everybody hated it. But that's because we don't hate change. We hate what it feels like. We hate how it threatens what we've built, how it pulls the rug out from under us, how it makes the other shoe drop. It is discomfort at best. And we just got comfortable, right? The thing is, the kicker being, avoiding change doesn't protect you, it traps you. It's baked into our psychology. Research has shown that we have an innate cognitive bias towards maintaining the status quo, hence the term the status quo, right? So even when alternatives are objectively better, we shun them. Neuroscientist Dr. Tali Shero also found that the brain processes potential change as a threat unless framed with a positive expectation. So, what does that mean? Even when you say you want change or when you want to grow, your brain would rather you stay a familiar version of self. This is why when anybody starts working with me, I'm like, but really, are you ready to blow everything up? Are you actually ready to most likely have some kind of breakdown to get to the breakthrough? Because I'm telling you, my friend, it's an alchemical process. There's going to be a blow up at some point. And that's why I'm here, is to hold your hand as you walk through it. But you are walking through the fire, my friend. I'm over here with the, I was going to say fire retardant. Ugh, gosh, BZ, it'd be so much better if you could just pull out proper nouns on command. You know, the thing you spray, fire extinguisher. That's much better. I'll be here with the fire extinguisher, but you, my friend, will be walking through the flames. You ready? And everybody always says yes, and nobody is ever fucking ready. If you don't like change, I am here. I think, like, quite literally, I think my purpose in life is to change that. It's to change you. Again, I can't tell you what to do. All I can help with is the facilitation of the process, the alchemical guide, if you will. So in this episode, we are going to dig into how to not just survive change, but harness change as a true accelerant. So we're going to cover some frameworks for understanding your resistance and hopefully how to turn change into fuel. 3 tactical strategies from which you can play with and experiment with so that you can lead, create, and even grow during moments of major shifts. And finally, I want to just drop a few little nuggets. Hopefully they inspire you. They've certainly worked for me. And let's get into it. So change isn't a threat. It's a tool. Okay. You're not lazy. You're not broken. You're biologically wired to seek certainty and avoid risk. We've been talking a lot about this. I know. Evolution taught us to fear what we don't recognize. And this is why people cling to old logos, old habits, old workflows, default tendencies, bad ... even when they no longer work. But in this conceptual, in this thought knowledge economy where ideas are currency, reinvention is survival. So clinging to the past is the fastest way to irrelevance. Build disruption into your routine. Set a recurring date on your calendar. Call it Destroy Day, D-Day. That's a different connotation, but you get where I'm going with this. Pick one process, one product, one belief, one habit you've been doing the same way week over week, month over month, year over year, and tear it apart. Invite your team to do the same. In fact, create a fucking KPI around it. Like, actually measure the changes. In the Diamond Cutter and 7 Habits for Highly Effective People, in the One Thing, in every single leadership book I've reviewed on the Quantum Business Book Club, or in every single research study and case study on how to evolve and innovate as an organization or as a leader, there is always a pattern interrupter. There is always a strategy that suggests take 1 hour or half a day or a long weekend and fuck around and find out. Plan on breaking the system. Yes, this is fail fast. This is fail forward. This is what we were talking about this in another episode, the sprints, the velocity metrics. See what happens. That's it. When we force change, it changes everything. And you'll notice different scenery by taking a different commute. You'll feel different changing up your coffee order. You'll have a different insight or conversation simply by switching up your seat or your favorite spot. This is where something new pops in. This is innovation. It's not having to reinvent the wheel. It's literally just going backwards instead of forwards. Like, we're looking for these monumental shifts. And quite frankly, it's brushing your teeth with your non-dominant hand. Like, We don't need to overcomplicate this. We practice performing in uncertainty, doing it weird, doing it wrong. One of my favorite resources for this for the last 30, nah, that's an exaggeration, 20 years, Brian Eno's Oblique Strategies. Look it up. They haven't been in publication, and I don't think the app's been updated in almost as long. So there will not be a link in the show notes. But he literally just would ask you to just turn it on its head and then look at it from that direction, right? If it feels forced or obligatory or habitual, and here's your cue, my friend, if you're not even thinking about it, you're just doing it, that ain't this at me. Prepping for change begins with practicing how it feels. You don't drill for emergencies in an emergency. You imagine it. You act as if, and you see what happens. And anyone who's done one of those horrific but team building exercises like Tough Mudders or escape rooms, you know, when you add a little pressure or competition, you really see through the cracks. And that, my friend, is where like the secret fairy world exists, right? When the world shifts, and it always will, creativity is what tells you where to go next. Have you ever, I heard, oh yeah, it was on David White, that podcast that I keep fucking talking about. And he was saying when every time he'd go to a new city, he'd go on a sun tour, which just meant he'd spend a day walking around following the sun. So it didn't matter how many times he'd been to that city, he would always discover something new. He'd always find himself wandering down some street or alleyway he hadn't been down before. And that just felt like the most amazing way to inspire yourself to explore what could be a really familiar space from a completely different place. It's not the spreadsheet. It's not the workflow. It's not the business plan. Pattern recognition, AKA narrative design, AKA creative intuition, is how we start to explore what is from a perspective of what could be. The naysayers will tell you that psychics are simply trauma survivors who, through decades of hypervigilance, can now pattern recognize. They can tune into these patterns and then predict what's going to happen next. They turn chaos into clarity. And that might be true, my friend, but the level of subconscious processing that is happening for someone to be able to predict what happens next on that level, I'm okay with calling that magic. Most execs, most founders, most artists are fucking magical on some level because they have this ability to operate and navigate within chaos and not only predict what happens next, but guide people towards that desired destination. They've buried their intuition under meetings and metrics, but it's still magic, my friends. So instead of asking what's the safest bet, ask what story do we want to tell in 2 years or 10? Because the safe story, the predictable story, that we followed the plan story, no one wants to listen to that story. So I always remind myself in those moments where I'm ugly, crying on the floor, like, this is the part people want to hear about, right? Like, this is what makes it interesting. If it were just a slow and steady straight line to success, it's boring as fuck. I would get bored. I'm going to blow something up in the middle of that. That's a different episode or therapy session. It is in the breakdowns where we discover the breakthroughs. And every entrepreneur, every success story will tell you it's actually when we thought we were failing that we found that secret sauce. What idea are we afraid to try but can't stop thinking about? You've heard me talk about this in terms of your own creative output. The ideas that wake you up at night that don't go away, they're worth it. Invest in them, take them seriously, pull them out of the ether and birth them into reality. What would we build if we weren't trying to impress anybody? Or what would we create if we weren't worried about disappointing them? Better questions open creative portals. Use them. And now we're going to get uncomfortable. Real growth doesn't just mean doing new things, okay? It doesn't just mean pattern interrupting. It means becoming someone else. And that means letting parts of your current identity die. Not literally, I mean, maybe a little bit. Symbolically, absolutely. Your role, your title, your expertise, your brand, none of that is sacred. None of that is sacred nor static. If it stops serving you and it keeps you from your next level, it's gotta go. It's the change you've been looking for. And if that sounds intense, remember, the caterpillar doesn't pivot, it dissolves. It becomes unrecognizable. And so will you when you're serious about growth. It's interesting because I feel like I've been the exact same person since I was 3 years old. And actually, that fixicity has very much become a part of my identity. And I'm really playing with that right now. Like, I don't have to be all or nothing. And I don't have to be this embodiment of consistency. That's always been a value of mine. This is why I think values get to change, right? I can try something and then not try it. I can drink and then I can not drink. And then maybe I drink again. I can be a workaholic or also take a nap in the middle of a Wednesday. I can wear all black in my podcast and then like not want to not wear what I was wearing that day so I can get an episode out. Like, there are parts of my identity that have changed dramatically just in the last couple months, but made a new friend, showed him a picture of me, I don't know, like a few years ago. Doesn't feel like that long ago. And they were like, you were unrecognizable. Okay. Again, I kind of feel like these fucking bugs, I swear to God. Sorry. I've always hated bugs. Let's just be real about that. Might not always hate bugs. Open to that shift. Anywho, the point being, anything you're holding on to or virtue signaling about is probably an identity attachment that could be released. That's all I'm going to say about that. Things will become unrecognizable when growth is one of your drivers. I actually did this the other day. It wasn't so much a like wish list or avatar design. I'm going to put together a little episode about that. But like avatar design 2.025. Write an obituary for yourself. Write down the version of you that you're ready to leave behind. Be specific. What habits, beliefs, fears, or ways of working are no longer a fit? You don't even have to know why. They just don't feel like the you that you're either becoming or suddenly discovering that you are. Read this obituary out loud and, rip it up into pieces or burn it or, I don't know, bury it somewhere if you're into that. And this is where you get to truly step into like this moment and this version, this character right now. You made it. And this is where perhaps some synchronicity might arrive. Begin before you're ready. If you've been asking or seeking or researching or trying, this is the sign you weren't looking for. You're ready. Do it. It's happening. This is it. Let's go. Your next move doesn't need permission or polish or push from me. Start while it's messy. Put it out there. Launch before you're certain. The momentum will reveal your next step. And the next few steps will inform your strategy. Clarity is a reward, not a requirement. So embrace the change, my friend. As you start to step this out, the strategy emerges and the systems that can support you will show up. Those that support you, those that support and serve your soul, these are the operational plans that I refer to. Sustainably scale means you support your energy. Automate tasks to make decision making easier or potentially delegate those decisions altogether so that you can design flow, workflows, these systems that leave room for space, for reflection, for intuition, not just execution. It's no longer about just doing. There's that magic in the being. The structure exists to free the muse. It's because this structure holds you that you've got this sandbox to play in, this playground to kind of experiment in. And this gives you the opportunity to ask the bigger why. So in the chaos or the doubt or the crisis, we don't cling to what was. With that reflection, we can reconnect to right now and then course correct to find our current mission and purpose. Why did you build in the first place? Let that deep motivation, not markets, not trends, not money, let that motivation be your compass. Does it feel good? Does it feel bad? Vision creates resilience, as in when there's a particular, again, desired destination that we're navigating towards, it gives you that true north, right? That morning star, that light at the end of the tunnel. And that will absolutely help you and guide you along your path. But the question will always become why, especially when things get hard, when you react to the change, the thing you didn't expect or even want to happen. That's when you prove it, right? That's when you have this opportunity to evolve, potentially revolve. The revolution occurs when in the moment you choose the evolution, the change. Resisting change won't save you. Evolving, revolutionizing the way that you experience change will. You are not, I used to say in the music industry, you're only as good as your last gig. I've revised that now. You are not your past. You are not your success. You are not the idea you have of you, nor are you the thing you haven't done yet. You are your smile. You are the way you feel in this moment right now. You are the whisper, that creative urge. So keep experimenting, keep evolving, and never ever confuse comfort for success. I think success can exist in some of the most mysterious, dark, unseen, never to be validated spaces. And it gets to be like your own little secret. And it's incredibly empowering when that's enough. So, anywho, I kind of went off the rails there, but this is a fun one. I feel great. Thanks for being here. All the things. Okay, bye.